this video, I'm going to walk through and compare Wave and QuickBooks as accounting systems. There are a lot of things we could compare between these accounting systems, but we are going to stick to the pricing, the categorization system, the chart of accounts, and reports. So let's talk about pricing first. As you can see in Wave, we're on the pricing page here. Creating and sending invoices doesn't cost anything. There is no monthly subscription fee for this online software, which is very different from many other accounting systems. But yes, especially QuickBooks, which has some of the pricier subscription fees for small businesses. And then payment processing. So if you send or receive payments through Wave, it'll charge you for that just like any other POS. And then if you grow to need payroll services, you can pay for those on a monthly basis. And then if you grow to need bookkeeping support or more intensive accounting and payroll coaching, right, that is there. So QuickBooks, on the other hand, you can see here, QuickBooks Online has these 4 different options. There are many other versions of QuickBooks as well, but we'll just be discussing these 4. So we've got the Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, Advanced, and you can use all of them to track your income and expenses, which is the most important thing. I find a lot of entrepreneurs are using at least the Plus version, so they're paying that $85 a month after the initial $25.50 for 3 months or more. So we'll talk about the different features that you get in the next part of the video. So with QuickBooks, you have to pay for the monthly subscription shown here, but then if you select one of these, you then also would have to pay for payroll services. So unlike Wave, you have to pay for the access to the system and then also payroll if you add it on, whereas Wave is free to use the basic bookkeeping system, but then you pay for payroll if you need to add it. All right, so let's get into these systems and start to see what they actually look like. When we first log in to either accounting system, we're going to be sent to a kind of dashboard page in QuickBooks. It's this Get Things Done page with these workflows. The first section that we're going to examine in the system is the categorization system. So how do we actually categorize our financial transactions into revenue or expenses or other categories? Because that's the most important thing that you're going to use your bookkeeping system for. So in QuickBooks, this is the advanced subscription. So I've just clicked bookkeeping. It's taking me to my transactions here. And you can see that I've linked a bank account, or at least I have a bank account set up here, and I've got 4 transactions for review, and they're shown here. So I've got the kind of the bottom of the screen here for that. So to actually categorize these transactions, I need to either click on the line, and that's going to open up this drop-down menu, or I can just press confirm if I want to just go with what QuickBooks is suggesting. So especially at the beginning, you should be careful about what QuickBooks suggests, just because it is an accounting system. It doesn't know how your business works, so you definitely need to train it before trusting it. So be careful about that. But let's see here. So maybe I've already categorized some transactions that look like this, maybe with this dollar amount or with a similar description, and now it's picking that up. So that can be very helpful, and I can just press confirm there. I could add who I am paying, in this case, the vendor. I could add a customer or project. I could add a tag if I wanted to include this expense in with a group of other expenses and revenue that has to do with a specific project. If I wanted to run a report and tag things that way, I could do it. I can add an attachment. I can also create a rule. We'll do an example of that later, but let's just confirm this. If I wanted to change the category to something else, it's as easy as opening up that drop-down menu. I can scroll through to find my rent, or I could back this out and then type in rent, and that's going to, all my different accounts with rent in the name are going to pop up here. So I'm going to put that into building and property rent, and we're good to go. Let's do another one just to see how this works. So let's say I went to Home Depot and I wanted to buy some office supplies. So it's picking that up. That's great. And you can see here, there are a bunch of different options at the top. Am I categorizing it? Am I finding a match? Am I recording it as a transfer or as a credit card payment? So finding a match, it can help you avoid duplicates. So that's nice. So it's picking that up automatically. It's reading the other transactions. I'm not transferring this between two bank accounts, and I'm not using it to pay off a credit card. So I am just categorizing it. So let's confirm that one. Okay, we've got some revenue here. So someone paid us, or many customers paid us some amount, and it went into our Square, and then it was transferred into our bank account. So I can go down here to the category, and maybe this was specifically floral revenue. I was selling some flowers, and I can confirm that. I could enter a specific customer, or I could just leave that to be tracked through my POS, through Square. Either way. All right. And then let's try creating a new account and see what that looks like. So maybe it wasn't floral revenue. Maybe it was a different kind of sales that I haven't created yet. I can scroll through all of my different accounts. It's giving me my expense accounts, liabilities. Okay, here's the income. And so I've got some generic ones that it generated for me, and then I can create my own. So maybe this was actually some like food and beverage sales. So I don't have one set up already for it, so I'm going to click that. It's going to open up this box here where I can actually create this income account. So what is it? It is an income account. And the detail type, it is, let's say, sales of product income. That seems to match. And I can name it food and beverage income. I could put in a description. I could make this a sub-account of another account so that it kind of appears nested under certain things, and subtotals under, a different sales account. So why don't I make this a sub account of sales of product income, and we'll take a look at how this actually looks on the report afterwards. So let's save and close that. I've tagged that. I could tag the customer who paid me. So looks like Arthur Weasley paid me. Adding a customer is as easy as clicking there and typing in there. I could put in all of this information if I wanted to, not necessary, so let's save that. All right, so we just kind of explored how to categorize transactions if you've automatically linked your bank account, which is definitely the easiest way to bring in transactions. So let's confirm that. And then I have 0 for review. If I wanted to go and check out the ones that I have categorized, I can click that here. And then if I wanted to manually add revenue or expenses, I have to go to this all sales or expenses section over here. And then I can do that. I can create a new sales transaction. So maybe this is just going to be a sales receipt. someone maybe paid me earlier today in cash. That is going to pull up this menu here where I can put in the customer, the email, all this stuff. I can tag it for a specific project. And here it's asking me to put in a product or service. So I have to input a product or service if I am entering a sales receipt. So products, and then these products or service are linked to certain revenue accounts. And that is where they will appear on your profit and loss statement under those revenue accounts that they're linked to. You can go into the products or services section of QuickBooks and change that if you want to. But otherwise you can just enter this manually here. So that's how you enter a manual sales transaction. So let's go over to Wave and see how it's done here. I'm going to go to my example entity, and again, it's going to put me on that dashboard when I log in. There's going to be some nice looking graphs. I might get a pop-up I have to X out of. And the menu on the left here, looks a little bit different, but very much operates in a similar way. So I'm going down to accounting and transactions to get to where I actually categorize things. And you can see here, looks a little bit different, right? We've got a lot more screen here to work with, which is kind of nice. Yeah, so we've got these transactions. You can see they're coming over from our Navy Federal account. There's the description, there's the category, and it's not suggesting anything for me. I am going to have to click this drop-down menu and pick it out myself. So in Wave, you can see there's this big menu here with a lot of options at the top that are trying to be helpful. So is this a transfer to another bank? It's giving me all these options, something personal, but I can scroll past that to the expense accounts and actually just put this into my rent or wherever it's supposed to go, or I can type it in there. So like, let's say it's rent. If I want to add more details, like I can in QuickBooks, I have to go to edit more details, and then it's going to bring up this menu here where I can actually add all sorts of things. I can add who the vendor was. And if I want to create a new vendor, shoots me over to another screen, and then I have to do it there. And then, I can add notes, or I can upload a receipt for this. So let's save that. And after I've categorized something, I'm going to mark it as reviewed to kind of check it off. This is a way that you could kind of develop a workflow where one person goes in and categorizes, and then one person reviews it and kind of checks them off as they are reviewed. So that's kind of fun to check things off. And that is how you categorize things in Wave. Let's say I want to create a new category, so I'm going to type in something, and it's not there yet, so I'm going to create a new category, also known as an account. Same questions as QuickBooks. What's my account type? Let's say it's an income account. Let's say it's food and beverage sales. I don't necessarily need an account ID, but that is a number that I could assign to this account, and I could put in a description. All right, so once I've categorized that, I could check it off. I could add more details if I wanted. I could, upload a receipt there. If I want to add a transaction manually, like let's say that someone paid me in cash and then I used that cash to purchase something, so it's gone. So I can add income up here. It's very easy to do so. So let's say someone paid me in cash. Sale for food, $5.26, and this was $20, and let's put it into that new food and beverage sales account. Great. I could upload a receipt maybe if I wrote something down, or the customer gave me something as confirmation. So it's as easy as that. and I can mark that as reviewed. And then let's say that I spent that cash, I would enter an expense for the same amount and record that payment, and I could upload that receipt. All right, so that is how you categorize. I think most entrepreneurs tell me that Wave is a little bit user-friendly, but you know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have rules. So we'll go into QuickBooks and actually add a rule so you can see how that works. But I do find that many entrepreneurs actually get themselves into trouble with rules because they create a lot of them and then they forget about them. So things are being like automatically put into certain categories and they're not actually able to keep track of, you know, where their expenses are going. So then they have to like recategorize a whole lot of stuff, which is just a whole lot more work and time than categorizing it correctly in the first place. But if you want to create rules, you can go to, in QuickBooks under transactions, let's undo one of these transactions. So let's say maybe everything I buy from Home Depot is an office expense. So if we chase that back to for review, we open that up and let's create a rule. So what do you want to call this rule? Home Depot equals supplies. So anything going out in any bank account that includes in the description Home Depot should go to an expense account that is called supplies. And I could even tag, the who I paid, like the vendor, right? Great, cool. So then whenever a transaction comes in with that description, it's going to go to supplies. Now, if I go to Home Depot and I pick up something that isn't supplies, I need to remember to go back in and change that. You have to be careful with the rules a little bit. All right. So let's go to the next piece that I want to compare, the chart of accounts. So the chart of accounts is the backbone of any accounting system. It's going to be the list of categories where you can put things. In Wave, it's organized like this with assets, liabilities, and then income, expenses, equity. So you can navigate through this. You can add a new account here. We did this already. So that's kind of nicely organized. And you can prevent further usage, so you can archive an account if you don't want to use it anymore. Very similar in QuickBooks, it just looks a little bit different. This is where you see all of your accounts. They're all in one menu here, right? And they're organized by account type, or you could organize, sort them in a different way if you wanted. So you can see, we've got our fixed assets, liabilities, equity, and then if we scroll down, income. And we can edit them this way. And again, we have that sub-account feature that you don't have in Wave. And I'll show you how that shows up on a certain report. So that's the chart of accounts, pretty simple, pretty easy to use on both. And then the last piece I want to show you is the reports section. So in my version of QuickBooks, if I go to Business Overview and then Reports, that is where I'm going to find my reports. So in QuickBooks, you can actually build custom reports, which is not something you can do in Wave. And if I go to my profit and loss, which might be the report that entrepreneurs use most, you can see it's organized like this. I've got my income, cost of goods sold, expenses, and you can see how the accounts are sort of nesting under. So my sales of product income has floral revenue and food and beverage income, and then I've got some consulting sticking out up here. So you can kind of consolidate things easily if you want to. If you want to change the dates, you scroll up, just hidden until you know about it, and you can adjust the dates here. You can compare to other periods, and what's pretty nice is you can display several months at one time. So that is very handy for comparing, how you're doing month over month. And then, so in Wave, if we go to reports down here, we have our profit and loss. You can see there are fewer reports in Wave than QuickBooks. So in Wave, you're going to get your 3 main financial statements, sales tax report, payroll, and then some information about customers and vendors, which is nice. And that can help you do your 1099s. So if you've been tagging your vendors that are contractors, maybe they're individuals or single member LLCs, and they fall under the 1099 reporting rules, you can run a report by those vendors and get those dollar amounts. So you can do that in Wave, and I'm sure QuickBooks has a specific 1099 report as well. Let's check it out. Yeah, we can create custom reports. Got all this different stuff. Look at all that. Yep, there's a specific 1099 contractor report that can help you fill out those 1099s. It'll probably help you print it off too. Great. And then it's got a lot of other features. It's got a planner, projects, budgets, and you can even add more. So if you go to, let's see here, account and settings, and advanced, oh, here we go. In this categories section, in this categories section, you can track classes and locations. So you could have floral revenue by location or by some other data set. So, as your business grows, QuickBooks can help you slice and dice the data in more helpful ways. Wave, you're not going to be able to use nesting accounts, and you're not going to be able to use classes. If we look at the profit and loss report on Wave, we go to details, it's just going to be one layer of accounts. So you can create more and more, but it's just going to be one. You can't have them roll up to each other, and you can't say, this is my floral revenue for this particular location, like you can in QuickBooks. Also, one drawback of Wave is that you can't line up your months in one report, unfortunately. You can compare to a prior period. So you could compare year to year, but it's not going to let you compare, 12 months of the year all in one report. So yeah, that is an overview. In both of these systems, when you're in a report, you can drill down to see what is in a specific category, what makes up that dollar amount. In Wave, it's going to pull up another tab. In QuickBooks, it's going to do it in the same tab. So I hope that helps you choose between QuickBooks or Wave for your small business. And I usually recommend that, many small businesses can start off with Wave, pay nothing for your basic bookkeeping, learn how to do your bookkeeping without getting tangled up in a lot of rules. And then when the time is right, maybe you switch over to QuickBooks. And the process to download all of your transactions and then import them into another accounting system really is not that complicated. And I have another video on how to import transactions into QuickBooks from a spreadsheet. For more bookkeeping guidance, go to jumpstartinc.org/bookkeeping. And if you want to get in touch with our team directly for one-on-one advising, fill the form out on that webpage. Thanks again for watching.